Hello, everyone. I know you must be super pumped to know the CLAT paper trend analysis. So today, that's exactly what we are here for, and we are going to discuss about what was the common pattern which has been followed in all of these papers. Okay, so I hope my screen is 100% visible, and let's start, right? So yes, moving on to CLAT 2020. Now, first thing that I would like to tell you guys is that it was dominant. I would say the predominant genre, which was in CLAT 2022, was literature. There were three short story excerpts. Now, one of the short stories was The Cat, another one was Short Story with the name Short Story, and the third one was The Case for the Defense. Okay, so there were three passages from the literature genre. Then comes current affairs based on two editorials. Now, in order to get better at reading editorials, obviously we have the Hindu, the Times of India, from where these passages have come from. Also, there are other websites which I have discussed from where you can read your editorials. Then there was one passage of Indian context, as you can very well see. The next passage was environmental science. That was actually the first passage of CLAT 2020. Now, the second thing that we are going to discuss here is what were the most prominent question types. So, as you can see, there were many questions on vocabulary. So vocabulary was kind of again dominating in this paper, and there were two questions on tones and four questions on main idea. I think everybody by this point is very well adapted to solving main idea questions, title questions. So this is something which is very common, has been seen in every single CLAT paper. Now, other than that, there were obviously contextual questions. And if you're somebody who's really good at picking out the keywords, I think that shouldn't be a problem for you to understand contextual questions. Obviously, there were also inferential questions here. But these three things are the most important thing that you need to make note of. Let's talk about CLAT 2020 versus CLAT 2021. Now, what you need to know here is in CLAT 2020, there were more passages which were from the editorials. There was one passage on polity, one on economics, obviously a short story which is always there in one form or the other. And there was one current affairs topic which was COVID, because obviously we were all undergoing the same situation. So COVID was obviously the hot topic then. And in 2022 also, this topic COVID was repeated, and again, we saw COVID, crypto, which was, I would say, the contemporary issues. Now, in CLAT 2022, the passages were lengthier, like all of the passages were of 500 word count. On the other hand, in CLAT 2021, they were somewhere around 400 to 450 word count. Okay, so basically, we need to be prepared for all sorts of situations, and it shouldn't come as a surprise because हमने देखा है पुराने पेपर्स में भी कि कभी 500 वर्ड काउंट है कभी 400 वर्ड काउंट है सो हमें तो हर चीज के लिए बेसिकली रेडी रहना पड़ेगा. Then in CLAT 2022, there was one passage from history, one nonfiction, another one was an autobiography. Now, autobiography is also a part of a literary passage. And as I've already told you, COVID and crypto were the most prominent current affairs, geopolitics, and philosophy. Now, these were all common topics, common genres, which were again repeated, as you can see. And moving on to the question stems. So if I talk about 2021 paper, there were three questions on tones. But on the other hand, there were questions on tones in 2022. That means obviously they have raised questions when it comes to tones. Now, the thing is, when I talk about vocabulary in 2021, there were six questions of vocabulary, five in 2022. That means it's pretty much the same in all of these papers, 4 to 5 questions on vocab. Now, to be very honest, vocabulary is not really something where you should be 100% dependent on, although it's really good if you're practicing it every single day and have a decent vocabulary bank. But if you rely on it too much, and probably if you're solving a question where you do not know half of the meanings in the options, it's definitely not worth giving it a shot. Okay, so be very mindful when you're picking vocabulary questions for yourself. Now, there were three questions which were asked in the format of fill in the blanks, and they were double fill in the blanks. So, exactly the sentence was given in the passage, and you were supposed to replace the two words with some other, I would say, befitting words. And there were two questions on figure of speech, and this came in CLAT 2022. So, although that I would say that there are not many static topics when it comes to English because there is no prescribed syllabus, but कुछ topics हैं जैसे कि tones देख लिए, main idea देख लिया, figures of speech देख लिए, ये सारी जो चीजें हैं वो हमेशा से ही repeat होते हुए आई हैं, ठीक है? So moving on to the next part now. Finally, CLAT 2023, what did we see? So, if I talk about genres, it was actually through and through Indian context based passages. जितने भी passages आए थे उनका कहीं ना कहीं Indian context ही था. So if I talk about the second passage, Kiladi civilization, if you remember, it had its origins from archaeology, history, etc. Then there was a psychology passage, two editorials, and short stories. So again, short stories are common, editorials are common, psychology is a very common genre. And when I talk about the question types in CLAT 2023, there were 9 questions from vocabulary. Now, this was actually a big surprise for everybody. But the thing is, if you're somebody who's really good at cracking the contextual meaning of a word, that means what a word means in a passage, I think you'll be able to decode this as well. And there was this one question on source of the passage. There are many students who struggle with what could be the source of this passage. Is it a research paper? Is it from a magazine? Is it a report? This and that. What I would suggest you to do is go and research over uh, every single source of passage. Like what happens, how is a magazine report different from a newspaper report? How is editorial different from, a research paper? Things like that. So that will help you clear out this doubt. And then again, main idea based questions. So as I've already told you, this is a recurrent pattern, and these are some questions which get repeated again and again. Obviously, there were contextual questions as well. कि passage में से कुछ चीजें उठाई हुई हैं. What weakens and strengthens the writer's argument, ये भी पूछा गया था. But yeah, जो चीजों पे हमें focus करना है वो यही है कि give yourself as much practice of the static topics so that at least some part of it is very sure, and that you are sure about that one part of English paper and you attempt it with a lot of confidence, right? Now, moving to CLAT 2024, what do we need to watch out for? So I have written here some magazines, as you can see, some websites. एडिटोरियल्स की अगर मैं बात करूँ तो हम कहाँ से पढ़ सकते हैं? द हिंदू, द टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया, द इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स, फॉरेन पॉलिसी एंड पेंगुइन, वाइकिंग, क्योंकि फॉरेन पॉलिसी एंड पेंगुइन वाइकिंग से आर्टिकल्स आए थे इन 2023. अगर तुम्हें इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट पे कुछ पढ़ना है, यू कैन डेफिनेटली गो फॉर मैगजीन सच एज द फ्रंट लाइन, द आउटलुक, रीडर्स डाइजेस्ट, etc. And if you're somebody who feels that you're not really good with literary passages, then read more short stories, read more classic literature. And again, I've suggested you a few websites here. So the first one is Electric Literature. Second one is Project Gutenberg. Here you will get like an immense library of books. And the last one is The New Yorker. So yeah, that's about it from my side. I hope this analysis was very clear to you, and I hope you focus on the area, which gets repeated very often. So these are all the insights from me about CLAT 2020 till 2023. And I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. It's a wrap from my side. All the very best. Bye bye.